we the ones holding ourselves back when it comes to figuring things out? Let's explore this. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Voice After 50, the podcast where we talk honestly about life, the big 50 and beyond, and all the quiet shifts and unexpected questions that come with it. I'm Beverley, and today I want to talk about something that got me thinking when I met with a friend the other day. I had one of those, is it just me thoughts? You know the kind. Well, maybe it is just me, but maybe not. Either way, I'm saying it out loud. It's this. When did people stop thinking for themselves? When did we start outsourcing even the smallest decisions? When did grown adults stop using their own initiative for things they could easily figure out? Now, I say this not from a place of judgment, and I promise this won't be a rant. Well, maybe just a light one. What I really want is to explore this together, because I think it says something about the world we're living in, and maybe even about how we want to move through it in this next phase of life. So let's take a look with some laughs, some stories, and hopefully some insights too. Let's start small. You know the moments I mean, when someone asks you something they could literally find out just by looking around. You're at a cafe and your friend asks, do they have oat milk? You glance up and right there, on the menu board in capital letters, oat milk, 50p extra. Or they ask, what times does this place close? While holding a phone that contains the entire internet. And here's the thing, I've seen folks in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 60s, you name it, all doing this. So it's clearly not about age, it's something else. It's like we've forgotten that figuring out things is even an option. So why does this bug me now? Honestly, I think it's because I grew up in a time where you had to figure things out. If you didn't know something, you didn't just ask. You researched, you explored, you used your initiative, you became your own little detective. There was no Google, no instant answers. If you wanted to know a train time, you checked the printed timetable or called the station. If your VCR was flashing and not working properly, you got out the manual and tried to figure it out for yourself. We were taught resourcefulness, often out of necessity, and that skill, that mental muscle became part of our DNA. So now when I see people skip that process entirely, it does something to me. Not because I think I'm better, but because I worry we're losing something important. Especially now, when after 50 your energy becomes more precious, you don't want to spend time solving people's problems that they could solve for themselves with a tap or a thought. You start choosing your battles, and hand-holding grown-ups through basic tasks, that's a battle I rarely have the bandwidth for. Tell me you relate to this, or am I just becoming the neighbourhood grump? Now, let's talk about technology. Technology has made life wonderfully convenient, but also in some ways it's dulled our instincts. The same tools that empower us can also make us passive. Why think critically when an algorithm decides for you? Why explore when a voice assistant gives you the first answer, whether it's right or not? And let me be clear, I love tech, I depend on it, I marvel at how much easier it's made life. But I do wonder, has our reliance on technology quietly eroded our initiative? Because when everything is one tap away, our curiosity, our problem solving, our resilience, they all get just a little quieter. Let me give you a few real life examples, and I share these not to poke fun, but to illustrate how often this happens now. The other week, a neighbour knocked on my door and asked, do you know what day the recycling truck comes round? Now, there's a sticker on every bin. There's a council app. And there's a printed calendar we all got in the post. Plus, we've all lived in this street for years. Another time, a friend called to ask what platform their train was leaving from. I said, you bought the ticket, right? Yes. You have the app? Yes. Then why am I suddenly National Rail? And then there's the family WhatsApp group. You send all the details about a family dinner, the time, the place, the menu, you even add the emoji. And 5 minutes later, what time are we meeting again? You've got to laugh, otherwise you'll just scream. And here's where I want to be fair. Sometimes it's not laziness, sometimes it's just overload. We live in a time where our brains are bombarded with information. People are juggling work, kids, bills, messages, updates, alerts, all day, every day. It's no wonder we default to, let me just ask somebody, because it saves precious brain power. And I'm not above this. My son will tell you. There are days I hand him a new remote and say, please just make it work. So yes, we all have those my brain is full moments. But there's a big difference between needing help occasionally and never even trying to figure things out. Here's where this matters. If we constantly outsource our thinking, we stop trusting ourselves. We lose confidence, we avoid challenges, and eventually we become dependent, not because we're incapable, but because we never built the muscle. And for us in midlife, this is especially important because as we age, one of the keys to staying mentally sharp is staying mentally active, curious, engaged, independent. So maybe one of the greatest gifts we could give ourselves in this stage of life is to keep figuring things out, to keep thinking for ourselves, to stay resourceful. It's not just a practical skill, it's a form of self-respect. Of course, not every moment calls for a lesson. Sometimes you just answer the question. You help the frazzled friend, you answer the group chat, you show kindness. But you also protect your energy. You set your boundaries, you gently redirect, you say, check the app, or it's on the bin, or you'll remember it better if you look it up yourself. We can be guides without becoming crutches. So maybe the real question today isn't, when did people stop thinking for themselves? Maybe it's, how do we encourage one another to start again? How do we keep that sense of resourcefulness alive in ourselves and in others without sounding superior or fed up? I think the answer is gentle nudges, kind redirection, and giving ourselves permission to step back when we need to. Because as we get older, our time and energy are valuable, and guarding them doesn't make us grumpy, it makes us wise. That's it for today on Voice After 50. If this episode made you nod, roll your eyes, or laugh in your coffee, I'd love to hear about it. What's the most you could have figured that out yourself moment you've had lately? Email me, message me, or just whisper it to the sky. Thanks for being here. Take care of that brilliant, curious, resourceful brain of yours. And remember, you're not anyone's personal search engine, and that's okay. Until next time, I'm Beverley, and this was Voice After 50. Talk soon.